these temperatures, the players tend to warm up in the gym for quite a while and then come out for the first few exercises. As always, we're welcoming listeners, viewers, fans from all over the world, so feel free to post any comments or questions that you might have. We'll see if we can answer them as we go along. For now, let's see what this training session holds in store for us. Quite a few fans at Munich Sebener Street excited to see this last public training session before the Wolfsburg game.
Sprung drüber. Zack. Bleib mit dem. Komm. Gute Pass. Und nächste. Wenn der ist fertig, komm. Gute Pass. Ja, zack und weg. Gut. Und ein bisschen schneller machen. Auf die Stationen. Komm. Zack. Gut. Hier, zack. Ja, genau. Gut, genau. Gut. Und hier vorwärts, seitlich. Hep. Ja, Sprung drüber. Zack. Ja, rechts, links, genau, gut. Genau, nicht mehr. Was? Hep. Zack. Verlassen. Ja, komm. Zack, hep und vor. Schnell. Gut, genau. Hep. Gut, Mitchell. Komm, zack, du bekommst zweimal den Ball. Hep, genau. Super.
Schön war das Kind an der Rennzapfuß wie aller Bayern.
Gut, zack. Ja, komm. Aber noch warten an dem weißen Hütchen, da wo der Dante steht. Zack, und dann davor, okay? Kurzer Antritt zu dem weißen Hütchen von deiner Seite, okay? Medi, zack, genau. Komm, da. Hopp. Gut.
Already it's a fairly unusual training session. When the players normally come out, we see what's now called Rondo here in Germany, a Spanish description of this 5 against 2 or 6 against 2 that basically every football team starts with. But here we have a bit of a passing and physical exercise. Good to see that, as far as I can tell, pretty much everyone is on the pitch here. Of course, the usual suspects missing, that is Thiago, Philipp Lahm and also Javi Martinez. I haven't seen Arjen Robben on the pitch yet, but that's not necessarily anything to worry about. Robben does tend to conduct a lot of individual exercises as well. Apart from that, Holger Badstuber on the pitch, David Alaba also in the background there, Bastian Schweinsteiger. Here is David Alaba. Seems fit and ready to go. We'll have to wait and see if he'll actually feature in the starting formation of Pep Guardiola's team following his injury break. Same goes for Holger Badstuber, same goes for Bastian Schweinsteiger. But there are now again plenty of alternatives for this man to choose from. Winter preparation went very well. You probably followed it. 8-day training camp in Qatar with countless training sessions. This man, Pep Guardiola, forced his players to pretty much go to the limit with 2 training sessions on most days. Successful games as well, not against the strongest opposition admittedly. First a 4-1 victory against the Qatar Stars, where Mitchell Weiser stole the spotlight with 2 goals. Here in the center of your picture, Bastian Schweinsteiger, he yesterday won the German Goal of the Month award in national television for his beautiful free kick goal to score in the 2-1 win against Mainz in the last match before the winter break. On the left, Holger Badstuber, who has been able to conduct most training sessions in this winter break. A few training sessions were left out for precautionary measures. Behind him, Zina and Kurt. This is Juan Bernat. So I think, in fact, really everyone on the pitch. Maybe you can spot Arjen Robben hidden underneath a hat somewhere. I haven't seen him yet.
Stay now. Gut, genau. Holger, ja, ein bisschen länger warten. Zack, zack, jetzt kommt der Pass. Stopp, stopp, stopp. Sinan, warten. Nein, warten, warten, Sinan, warten, Sinan. Immer noch warten. So, jetzt los. Gut, genau. Sehr gut, komm.
These men don't look particularly happy, but they have plenty of reason, I think, to be happy with the winter preparation. Xabi Alonso here in the center. He experienced a winter break, as is traditional in Germany, for the first time, and for a player of his age it should be particularly beneficial. Already the dominant figure in Bayern Munich's midfield in the first half of the season. On Friday, Bayern Munich played the last test match before the second half of the season starts in Bochum. Clear and pretty much undisputed 5-1 victory, despite the early lead for the underdogs from Bochum. And in that game, we just saw Bastian Schweinsteiger, who played with Xabi Alonso in midfield. And not for the first time, but for the first time in a starting formation, if I'm not mistaken. One way or the other, we're hoping to see much more of them. Thomas Müller, good first half of the season for him. As always, really consistent player. Sebastian Rode here, he'll be hoping to get a few more games under his belt, although he says himself the first half of the season went pretty well. And particularly towards the end of that first half of the season, he showed some really strong performances. Holger Badstuber, the first man to return from the winter holiday. He was the first man at Munich Sebener Street at the beginning of January. And he's just loving it, enjoying himself. Finally back with the team again. Let's all keep our fingers crossed that Badstuber can play for a long time and stay free of injury. All his teammates wish him all the best. Juan Bernat on the left had some issues, not so much with an injury, but I think he had the flu or pretty severe cold. In part of the winter training camp, wasn't able to conduct every single training session, but he seems back on track and on form. Already played the test match against Bochum and showed his usual strong performance. Mehdi Benatia on the far left was also able to play in that game, so it really does seem as if everyone is on board, with the few exceptions. And I think now, after this little passing running exercise, we'll finally see what the fans love to see. Sometimes we're in for some treats here when the players play this 5 against 2 system. It's an interesting group here with Neuer, Boateng, Lewandowski, the two technically super strong players in the center, Gaudino and Mario Götze. Thomas Müller as well, Holger Badstuber. So let's enjoy this exercise. Usually when you watch this exercise at Bayern Munich, it's quite a sight to behold.
NLO, zie je?
Also brauche ich nicht gesagt, wir geholt.
Das gibt's ja nicht. Was soll ich da machen?
No surprise to see Ribéry and Rafinha doing the most talking in this exercise. They're considered to be the biggest jokers in the Bayern team and always make a meal of these exercises. It's always good to see how involved the players are as soon as they actually get to play with the ball. Rafinha and Ribéry obviously enjoying themselves there.
Oh, warum sagt er es dann? Zeit!
Der soll davor gehen zu dem Midfield. So steht er drinnen mit Kamera, der soll mit der
Position Spiel. Gut. Hier grün ist Manu, Xavi, Pep, blau, Jerome, David, Levi, Weiser, Basti mit Jerome, Juan mit Talaba, Sinan mit Weiser und Thomas mit Levi.
Aber aufpassen mit Knie.
Oh, Vorsicht,
Here is the officially third best player in the world, Manuel Neuer. The Bayern fans will agree, the best goalkeeper in the world. In case you don't watch these live training sessions a lot, you might be surprised why Manuel Neuer joins in these passing exercises, but then Piperina and Tom Starke did too. Passing game becoming more and more popular, more and more important for goalkeepers, and here is a Manuel Neuer fan apparently. Neuer was actually asked on the weekend when he visited a fan club if he could ever imagine, at least in a friendly game, to play outside of his goal. But I think that's not really ever going to happen. You do signalize if you do that you're not really taking your opponent seriously. Xabi Alonso and Manuel Neuer passed the ball back and forth quite a lot during games. If you saw the highlights or even the live games during the winter break, you will have seen that Manuel Neuer isn't going to change his goalkeeping game. The man who most experts say now revolutionized goalkeeping. He's continuing in that style. Pep Guardiola getting involved here. Another one of these passing exercises, or in fact, a game exercise without goals, to practice what to do with the ball with no space and no time on a very small confined space. Alonso certainly a candidate for a good job there. Another player who we should keep an eye on in this exercise is probably Gianluca Gaudino. That's his biggest strength, as Pep Guardiola says. Quick reactions, he needs little to no time to find the right solution. Pep Guardiola still active. When Bernat intercepts here. So swift, so quick on his feet. On the right again, Mitchell Weiser, a lot closer to the team now than he was a few months ago. Still, we'll see when he can play in competitive matches with Rafinha. He has a tough competitor ahead of him. That's the kind of exercise players and coaches love. The players like it because it's like a game. They play football, and the coaches like it because they know the players are going to be highly motivated. Here's Hermann Gerland, Bayern and Bochum icon, who was very much involved in the organization, at least in the suggestion to play this friendly game on Friday against Bochum. Good test there for Bayern Munich. You might have seen some of it. Bochum played like most First League teams and most Champions League opponents of Bayern Munich play. And that is very defensively, just waiting for counterattacks, forcing Bayern Munich to find creative solutions in midfield. And that's, again, part of what this exercise is about too.
Kom rein.
Weiter, komm! Was ist? Reach!
Mann, Mann!
Hey!
Was? Sorry. Hey!
Ja, weiter!
Hey! Wie das? Gut! Hallo!
Zeit!
Hopp mit!
Hier!
So super.
Bravo!
Bravo, gut! Sehr gut!
Aber nicht 2 Meter dahinter steht.
Not bad. Nicht vergessen, ne? Like ik kan zo die is out. Want die had zo en zo. Out. So come, als je nog dit bent. In de kleine, de doelen zijn daar. Spiel. Goed, Xavi. Egal, definitiv. Wenn er kam, so Bayern zum Beispiel, der kam, ist dafür die gleiche Idee.
Low, Come on, Sinan. Low.
Auf geht's. Gleich one.
Low.
Geht's blau?
Ja, Sinan, go! Er ist gut!
Gut nicht! Zeig! Gut! Du! Müller!
Ich hab nur Husten.
Geh auf!
Zeig!
Bravo, was steht?
Ruhig!
Bravo!
Gut, Sinan, ruhig bleiben. Ist.
Zeig!
Solo!
Bravo, Manu!
Well, there's a few things you can maybe notice here. First of all, Manuel Neuer shows us here how good his passing game really is, never really losing the ball. And here's the exception, prove me wrong, of course. And then you might hear the encouraging words for Sinan Kurt. He's the man on the right, a young talent Bayern Munich bought at the beginning of this season. A great talent who has pretty incredible left foot. Great shot, here he is in front of your screen. Really impressed in the training camp in Qatar, as did all the other players, and this shows quite clearly just how involved the Bayern players are and how involved the Bayern coaches. That's no surprise really. Pep Guardiola from day one, passionate and involved in every training session. We've just, by the way, some of you have been asking this question, received confirmation that Arjen Robben is indeed stayed inside, just a precautionary measure. He's conducting individual training. That's not unusual for Arjen Robben. He does that quite a lot. So no reason, from what we can tell, to worry. Robben, who was pretty much the match winner again on Friday with 2 goals and an assist against Bochum, seems really poised for the second half of the season. It's fascinating for me to see how in competitive games now there's usually 4 or 5 moments where the Bayern fans start chanting Arjen Robben's name. You all know. A bit of a different story, let's say 3 years ago, where Arjen Robben was, at times at least, a bit of a controversial figure at Bayern Munich. That's completely changed, crowd darling, and one of the reasons for Bayern Munich's long-lasting and pretty incredible success. Mitchell Weiser here, joining in nicely. Alaba again, I'm repeating myself, but that's always great to see the young Austrian back in good health, not holding back.
Was machst du? Ja, du bist nicht noch hingekommen. Ja, natürlich. Der lernt hier rüber. Na gut, aber der kommt nicht. Schade für Rot. Kann man fucken. Vergessen, mit sehr wichtig für dich. Jeder Kontrolle, Kontrolle. Der ¿Tú juegas allí, Pep, o no te cambias? No, digo tú, si quieres jugar en aquel. Cambia un verde. ¿Quieres, Weiter, Xavi. Oh, schade.
Was die Teile deine Fehler bei Blau ein, ne?
Ich weiß nicht, welche Mannschaft du kommst von Rot.
Ja, das war genau das Problem.
Nee, ihr habt von einem.
Ist rot, oder? Ja. Alle mit, alles nicht.
Das ist ja gut. Solo. Ja.
Ja. Perfekt.
Nein. Ja, komm mal. Gut,
Oh, Mann.
Ja, solo.
Gut, Raum.
Ja. Run. Gut. Ja.
Zeit, weiter, was ist Zeit? Zeit darin. Oh, schade.
Ja, Mann.
Blau. Zeit. Gut. Good Manu. Oh merde, putain. Oh shit.
Ja, weiter.
Rot.
Zeit.
Spiel.
Sorry, gut, Basti. Super.
Drauf.
Zeit.
Zeit. Basti.
Ja, klar. Ja. Er ist ja oben, den willst du auch nicht haben.
Ja, moll.
Ja, aber das ist kein Ball.
Ja, das ist genau wie bei euch. Ja.
Ah.
Ja, nicht.
Ja, Sinan.
Sinan, der Trainer ist alt, Junge. Und der Ball gut. So.
Ja.
Zeit.
Gut, Xavi.
Zeit.
Solo. Zeit.
Gut so, Sinan.
Zeit.
Bravo.
Oi. Zeit. Komm on, Xavi. Ja.
Mann.
Hey, ja.
Bravo.
Ja, komm on, Sinan, komm.
Hopp. Mann.
Hey.
Aus. Ein Spiel.
Ja, er spielt. Nee.
Thomas, Spiel.
Ja, ich spiel.
Ja. Hey, gut, geh.
Ja.
Hopp, Zeit, bitte, Mann. Zeit.
So while fun, this is an exercise that the players are certainly going to feel after this training session. Basically no breaks here, constant movement, constant switching back and forth from defending against the ball and trying to hold on to possession. It's no surprise here that I mentioned the two jokers in the team, Rafinha and Ribery earlier. It's no surprise that you can hear Thomas Müller talking constantly. He's certainly up there when it comes to the clowns in the team. Again, also the young players doing a good job there. Zinan Kurtnic, advisor. One of the users here asked where Joshua Kimmich, the new signing of Bayern Munich, is and why he isn't on the pitch yet. Joshua Kimmich was bought from Stuttgart. He is, and that did happen in the winter break, he's on loan at Leipzig and will finish the season there before he joins Bayern Munich in summer. At least that's the plan for now. In winter, two players left Bayern Munich. Xherdan Shaqiri went to Inter Milan. Pierre-Emil Højbjerg joined Augsburg, but Højbjerg is only gone on loan for half a year. Before he left to Augsburg, Bayern Munich extended his contract to 2018 to, I think, send a clear signal out to Højbjerg as well that Bayern believes in his talent and his possible future at Bayern Munich. It'll certainly be interesting to see how he fares in Augsburg, an ambitious club, neighboring city of Munich, and a really small club, really, which has played an astonishing couple of seasons, really. And should prove a really good challenge for Højbjerg if he manages to play there. Then he'll certainly get some very good experience indeed. Augsburg are, as astonishing as that might be, looking to actually qualify for Europe next year. Pep Guardiola knows, particularly in midfield and particularly in holding midfield, so difficult for the young players to make it into the team. With players like, well, you could name so many. Alonso, of course. In central midfield, Mario Götze, Sebastian Rode, Philipp Lahm when he returns. Kurt, a player who's probably planned in for the future on the wings at Bayern Munich. But then David Alaba has played in central midfield more than in the fullback position the first half of the season. And of course, Bastian Schweinsteiger has returned, celebrated his comeback, several comeback games in the latter half of the first half of the season. And he was probably the player in Qatar with the best mood, the loudest, most active and involved player. Fantastic spirits throughout that week. saw the first few moments of our live training session where he threw snowballs onto the pitch trying to hit his teammates. You'll agree, doesn't seem as if his mood is any worse now. That's always a great sign, and of course the Bayern fans, here he is on the right, are hoping Schweinsteiger can also remain free of injury. Had mainly knee problems after the World Championship, but he seems back on track now.
Jero. Hey. Bravo, Basta. Again. Bravo. How's it? Yeah, Manu. Yeah. Good, Xavi. Side. Good. In the middle. Hey. Good. Yeah. Yeah, hold it. Okay. Easy ball.
Talking about the options that this man in the middle gives midfield, Bastian Schweinsteiger, we have to talk about the defense as well. Somewhere in the back there is Holger Badstuber, who's been able to participate in most training sessions since the start of training in the winter break. Jerome Boateng and Dante are fit. Midi Benatia, if anything, was a bit of a tragic figure in Qatar, where he was unable to join in more than, I think it was only really one full team training session, but of course he kept training individually. Here he's at the beginning of your screen. I suppose in the past decade or so, the way injured players are treated has changed quite dramatically anyway. Benatia, for instance, was out pretty much for 2 weeks and then immediately played on Friday. That's something that might not have been possible a few years back, but now the players work so hard when they're injured and are basically fit enough to play once they can return to full team training, even if they obviously lack match practice. But there are a lot of alternatives in defense now, with Alaba even playing in the center occasionally, but now also Dante, Boateng, Badstuber, Benatia there on the wings. Mitchell Weiser seems to become an alternative, I don't want to say threat, to the established players. Testament to Bayern Munich's transfer policy that Juan Bernat is already one of the key players on the left, Rafinha on the right. Lahm, I suppose, always an alternative on that position. He gave an interview recently where he talked about the fact that he doesn't really care where the coach fields him. His philosophy has always been to play where the coach needs him. Mario Götze scored again on Friday in Bochum. He made it 4-1. Played a good first half of the season for Bayern Munich. Pep Guardiola always demands more of him. Götze is a bit of the golden boy of his generation. Always considered the greatest German talent of his generation, and that's saying quite a lot when you consider the youth work in Germany in the past couple of years. Here's Mario Götze. He got a ball there from his, I think it's safe to say, best buddy at Bayern Munich, Jerome Boateng. Some of you might be wondering, by the way, do football teams like Bayern Munich just play football all the time? There are questions time and again of amateur players asking us. I remember when I played, all we did was basically run around the pitch or run laps around training facilities. We didn't play that much football. On the one hand, yes, there are hardly any more exercises, particularly under Pep Guardiola, but that was also the case already under Jupp Heynckes. Very, very few exercises without a ball. That's changed completely in the last couple of years as well. I suppose it started already under Jürgen Klinsmann, Louis van Gaal. In the last few years, everyone's adapted this, I suppose, what used to be called the Dutch approach, that in training you should use the ball rather than just run laps continuously. But this is a public training session. This isn't really a session in which Pep Guardiola practices tactics too much. So this is an unusual training session in the sense that most of these exercises here are football games in one way or the other. Beautiful goal there, prepared by Thomas Müller. I think it was Gianluca Gaudino who scored. Gaudino's great talent. Some of you, I suppose most of you, will have seen his little trick video we posted recently. You can also see he obviously still needs to work on his physique. Doesn't have the physique of an established football player yet, but then neither really does Thomas Müller, and that doesn't seem to keep him from showing consistent performances each and every season.
Thomas, geht Thomas, du komm mal. Muss vorher, Tom.
Certainly an entertaining exercise for the fans to watch.
Zeit. Spielen. Komm, Mario. Komm, schieben! Okay. Affa! Komm, schieben! Aufpass, Holger!
Tenemos un super strike gelaufen. 5 pasos.
Gut, Xavi! Zeit! Ja!
5 pasos que es como un metro más allá del medio.
Goal scored here by Sinan Kut. He's in the centre here, 19-year-old talent that Bayern Munich bought before this season. Maybe not the most beautiful goal you've ever seen, but no surprise, Sinan Kut has really impressed, I mentioned that earlier, really impressed the coaches and the fans and everyone watching really in Qatar in particular, but not only there. He came to Bayern Munich and immediately played with great confidence. You might have seen him play in the test matches of Bayern Munich, showed some good performances there and some good moves, very dynamic player. Even if the same goes for him as it does for Gianluca Gaudino, who still certainly doesn't have the typical football player's physique. Great pass there by Franck Ribéry. Wonderful move. Thomas Müller hoping for a penalty call there, it seems, but laughing about it himself.
Caminen, Thomas, caminen. Meji. Jan. Links. Spielen. Vorn. Jenny hier. Jenny, bitte mal. Mit. Zeit. Okay, raus. Hey, links. Links. Kom,
Gut, Sina, komm.
Davi, nach vorne. Gut, pass. Mit Ball. Hin. Zeit. Zeit. Pass. Ja.
Bleib vorne. Weg.
Oh, Mario, ist gut. Dieser Ball ist der beste Ball. Immer. Du musst mutig. Ist egal, der Kerl. Go in, Frank. Go in. Ist egal. Er ist der Best. Weiter. Yeah.
Gut. Spielen. Ja, was? Zeit.
Ah, noch. Was? Halbzeit.
Pep,
Ist Pause?
Here is Gianluca Galdino, and Dante was on your screen just now. He scored 2 goals in the test matches. One against Al Hilal, the 1-0, and now the goal against Bochum. You could tell how happy he was about that. Dante certainly has more competition for his position now. Jerome Boateng, most Bayern fans will agree, is the outstanding German defender of the last couple of years. World champion, Champions League winner, and a tough player to get past. Mehdi Benatia had some injury problems ever since he joined Bayern Munich, but the performances he showed, I think we'll all agree, were pretty impressive. And then with Holger Badstuber coming back, there's certainly going to be a lot of competition for the 2 positions in the 4-man line in the center. Having said that, we've also seen the man in red, Pep Guardiola, change positions quite a bit. Jerome Boateng can play on the right side of a back 3, or in the center, Holger Badstuber can play on the left. Their tactical changes, system changes from one game to the next, and even during games, are no unusual thing at Bayern Munich anymore. Even in the test match against Bochum, Pep Guardiola switched from back 4 to a back 3. Once the players have the game under control, once quite a bit of time has gone, once the opposition is pushed deeper and deeper into its own half and basically only tries to hammer the ball forward to one striker, Pep Guardiola obviously decides 3 at the back are enough. I suppose depending on what kind of type of striker you're talking about. But all the players, and of course Coach Pep Guardiola also says the same thing, it also depends on the type of player you have. You need the right player material to be able to do that. For instance, Jerome Boateng's speed certainly comes in handy. Alonso's vision. And when we talk about the defense, maybe the most important aspect, the element of Bayern's game that gives the defense most opportunities to play so aggressively, such an attacking style, is the man at the back, Manuel Neuer. Sweeper keeper style allows the Bayern defense to play very high up on the pitch and pressure the opposition pretty much in their own half already.
Okay, go Claudio, okay.
Super gemacht, super gemacht. Thomas, hier. Einfach. Oh, super! Ja! Super Ball, bravo!
Typical, Carlo.
Here's a goal down the left wing. Some of the users are obviously missing the pressure and the magic coming from the right wing. We've answered this question earlier, but for those of you joining us a little later in this training session, and there are several who've been asking, where is Arjen Robben again? Robben, and this is nothing unusual at Bayern Munich, Robben is indoors in the gym conducting individual training. The exact reason is unknown to me, but we have experienced that several times in the past. As you all know, when Robben joined Bayern Munich, he was prone to the odd injury, and the Bayern medical staff and physical therapists have done a fantastic job in the past years keeping Robben fit, happy and healthy, and so I assume this is purely a precautionary measure. Robben played the test matches for Bayern Munich, was part of all of the training sessions, pretty much all of the training sessions in Qatar as well. And in Qatar, maybe that's a good example too. We had several training sessions where players were missing. Claudio Pizarro wasn't able to conduct all of the training sessions. Then we had a day where Holger Badstuber, Mario Götze, Frank Ribéry all sat out, not necessarily due to an injury. There were players like Juan Bernat or Mehdi Benatia who were injured, who had a cold at the beginning of the training camp. The same went for Mario Götze, but let's hope this isn't an injury there of Sebastian Rode, but usually he's a hard-biting midfielder and should be able to continue. Again, I assume Robben's indoor training is purely a precautionary measure. He'll probably be out in the tactical training sessions again. This isn't, I suppose, necessarily a training session which Robben is required. Of course, good practice for the players, but again, as you can see, it's more of a fairly relaxed game. When I say relaxed, you can tell how ambitious, how determined the Bayern players are in every scene, but it's nothing tactical, which is probably why Pep Guardiola and his assistant coaches decided for Arjen Robben to stay indoors. Again, for those of you worrying, don't worry, there's no injury to report about. Robben is just conducting indoor training, individual training in the gym, not because of an injury.
Taka. Was die?
Nicht wegen unserer Kleidung.
Robert, terug, Robert. Ja, gewoon, ja, ga maar. Hey! Zeit! David! Vorne bleiben! Vor! Johnny! Zeit! Hey! Sinan, einfach spielen! Zeit, Medi, Zeit! Vorsicht! Mann! Ja, gut, Basti. Zustellen. Komm.
Bastian Schweinsteiger, the god of football, as the Bayern fans call him, back on the pitch. Still something that I'm more than happy to get used to. So much fun watching him play when he's in his prime. I have a final item of news for the Robin fans out there. He has a minor cold, apparently, so the coaches didn't want to risk anything, didn't want him to overdo it. Robin is, as most of you probably know, an absolute animal in training and totally, completely unable to hold back. He goes to and past the limit in every session, or should I say to the limit, not past the limit, in every single training session, which is why even when he has a cold, he would not hold back in any way. Maybe that's the reason why the coaches decide to keep him in these exercises that are purely game exercises. I'm not sure if we're already reaching the end of this session. We only went live at about 11:20, 11:25. But again, in these cold temperatures, the Bayern players warm up, so we will have missed 20-25 minutes of indoor training already. And not only that, most of the Bayern players actually come to the training facilities here in the south of Munich at Munich-Sebener Street quite a bit earlier than they have to. They all have to be here about an hour or 45 minutes before the training session starts. Usually it's an hour, but a lot of players are actually in the gym for quite a bit before the actual training session begins. And then several of them, particularly the older players, stay on a bit, have a massage or start recovery measures. Here are two football players who couldn't be much more different from each other in terms of physique, Tom Stark and Gianluca Godino. So while we're only seeing about an hour of training, most Bayern players will have conducted more than 90 minutes even. Thomas Müller, Holger, Bartstuber, similar generation came out of the Bayern youth pretty much together. I suppose similar time to David Alaba, who's there in the background, and what an impact they've made. Remains to be seen if Holger Bartstuber can stay fit and healthy now. We all hope so. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge described him as his personal hero of the last year because he fought back from such devastating injuries. It seems as if the training session's over for him. Some of the Bayern players will stay out now, particularly the young players like to take a couple shots on goal, practice penalties or free kicks or what have you. Müller's always big when it comes to practicing penalties. Pep Guardiola and Mehdi Benatia possibly discussing defensive tactics. Benatia seems very involved in all of these discussions, and it shows on the pitch. It's a great positioning game. Certainly can't match Jerome Boateng for speed, but when it comes to ruthlessness and anticipation of opposition attacks, Benatia proves why Bayern Munich hired him again and again. 4 more days to go before the second half of the season commences, and it kicks off with a great game. Friday evening, 8:30 Central European Time, Bayern Munich play in Wolfsburg against the table second team. And then we have what in Germany is called an English week, which means a busy week, 3 games in 1 week. So Tuesday then already, February the 3rd, Bayern Munich welcome Schalke in the Allianz Arena. Saturday the 7th, Bayern Munich play in Stuttgart. So some big clubs, some big names, some big opponents in the first couple of games. Coach Pep Guardiola said that's absolutely perfect for his team. There's no way the players can take the start of the second half of the season lightly. There's no time to settle in any way. The training session is over, pretty much. Maybe we'll stay on for a few more minutes here to have a look and see what the young guns at Bayern Munich and Götze and Lewandowski will do there. Maybe some free kicks will be practiced here. Lewandowski's practiced that quite often in training. Mario Götze does that as well, and then the young players love just to kick the ball on goal every once in a while. So we'll stay on for another minute or two, maybe a little longer, depending on how entertaining the next few minutes will be. But for me, what's left to say is thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in to Bayern Munich. It was the last public training session before the second half of the season starts. Again, next week's going to be a busy week, so it'll be a while before we can bring you the next live training session. Understandably, we only show you the public training sessions and not so much the secret behind closed doors tactical practice sessions. Pep Guardiola wouldn't be particularly happy with us if we did, so we'll have to wait for another good opportunity. Until then, thanks for watching and goodbye.
Agora, pô. Obrigado.